Hi, today we're going to talk about how to do translation on PowerSchool Special Education. It's actually a really powerful tool, and I'm very excited to show it to you. So once you're on this main page, you can actually ignore everything here, and you should be able to see the Administration tab, and it says Document Template Translation. When you open it up, you'll actually see a list of every document that is available in PowerSchool Special Ed right now. And let's tackle the most complicated of all of our documents, the IEP. So if we open this up, click the little plus button, this is actually a really important page here. And although it may not seem very legible, these are the fields and the places where things get filled in. So for example, everything that's a blue link, these are dynamic fields that are either filled in by you or they're pulled from the student information page. And they're links because they actually, well, if you click on them, they will actually take you to the field information about it. And we're not going to do that right now, but I wanted to point this out to you because we are going to translate every field and everything that's static and all of these all of these static text on the page as well. So the bold text, the non-bold text, and the fields, everything on this page will be translated. Now there are some things that you are not able to translate because they require a higher administrative authority, such as the boxes where if you, for example, let's take a look at what this page looks like. So this is the output format, but if you go to testing format, this shows you what the page looks like. So anything with a drop-down menu, you unfortunately will not be able to translate. That is something that only a higher administrator can do. But if you are translating a language, for language, and you need to have those things translated, please let me know. But for almost everything else, you can translate on your own directly. To go ahead and get started now, let's go over here to More, open this up, and go to Translations. And currently there is a Spanish translation here. And you can actually look at other translations that have ever been done. So if I open this up right now, I can see literally everything is translated from the language selection to the purpose of the IEP, okay, all of the warnings, all of the bolded text, everything is translated. And this does take me a little while to do, but overall, it's really not that hard. It is time consuming, but not incredibly difficult. So let's exit this translation and let's do our own. Let's open the translation back up again. I'm going to add a new language. And I am going to pick Chinese. So right here, I can translate this template name right now. But since I am the one that still needs to be able to read it, I'm actually not going to translate this into Chinese. So I'm going to click OK. So it says Chinese, and I'm going to type it out here, IEP in Chinese. There it is. Okay, let's push the plus sign. All right, so here's my document, and it gives me a warning, hey, there's a lot of things untranslated here. Got it. So the first thing we're going to translate is we're going to translate all of the phrases, the dark bolded phrases on the page. And to do that, we're going to start with Edit Translated Phrases. Now, why is this such a cool program? Because if you notice, there's 3 columns. The untranslated phrase, the translation you're going to put through, and Google Translate. Now, is Google Translate perfect? Not at all. But it does take a lot of the legwork out of it so that you can have a native speaker review the translation rather than have to manually translate everything in their own head. And how do you push the translation through? Well, first of all, let's take a look at what needs to be translated. There are some coding words that get pulled through as well. We don't need to translate those things necessarily. And you can evaluate for yourself because as you translate, you can go back and see, well, did I need to translate that? And this process is pretty much the same throughout the translation thing that we're doing, the process that we're doing, because you're going to have 3 columns and you can push translation through extremely easily just by pushing the blue button. It just pops the translations right through. And obviously they expect the native speaker to review these, and that is the best practice, is you can grant a native speaker access to your special education system for the purposes of doing this. And they can review them, It's pretty straightforward. So I'm not going to translate every single word on here, every field on here, because it will take quite a long time. Um, but when you're done, scroll. There's unfortunately because they expect you to proofread. There's no move all. So there's, as you can see, it's just one at a time. Push the translation through. You can save and continue, which is just like normal, and keep going, or just save to bring yourself out of it. And now you can see the results and fruits of that translation labor, all of the dark words. Now, what about these fields? How do I make sure that the things that I get put in here are translated? Well, I already mentioned that these menus are not translatable by you. Anything with a drop-down menu, they are called keyword banks, and since they are global, which means they go across the whole program, those are pretty locked down. So I would focus your translation efforts mainly on editing these phrases. What else can you translate? What are some other things that you can translate? So from this point, you also need to make sure that you need to go to the various sections and edit the phrases on that page as well. Oops, I went too fast. Takes a second for the machine translation to pop through. And save. And it starts translating this page. So don't forget to do the other sections. You don't need to do the child templates. If you click on one of these child templates, you'll notice that these are data type translations, and they don't necessarily need to be translated. But you want to spend most of your times on the main sections up here rather than these child templates. Progress report, definitely. You want to make sure that's translated. And you notice if any document shares a field, you'll see that it brings the translation right over as well. All right, now how do we turn this on? Well, we can exit the translation, and we actually need to go back to translations again, and you'll see these languages that says activate for users, deactivate. So we need to activate for our users, and then we need to go to a student. So choose a student, open their documents, and I'm actually going to use this student here. I have an IEP right here. You can pick any document. You can see some of these have Spanish translations already. So I'm going to go over here to the initial IEP, and I'm going to go to Navigate, Language Translations, and notice how the Spanish is already here. I'm going to add a translation for Chinese, and then I'm going to open it up. And you can see the fields that I partially translated. But what you notice is there's this text here, right? This is text that was inputted by the teacher, and I can now simply push those translations through and save as proofed, even though they're not. And now my document is in Chinese. Pretty cool. This continues to remind you, hey, there are still things on here that are not translated. So if you're ever worried, what if I missed something, this will let you know. And that's pretty much it. When you're ready to go back, if you go look at the IEP itself, your phrases are still in English, but you can always go and take a look at you can always go and translate the different parts right here. So you can edit the section in Chinese. I can go to the goals and objectives part, and I can push these goals and objectives through. And this format's a little different, but the basic idea is the same, right? You have the machine translation, you have the English, and then you have the actual translation in the new language. And then I can save as proofed. And now my goals and objectives are in Chinese. There you go. And that's how you do that. And once you finalize the document, you can actually go and print your document. I'm going to cancel editing here so you can see the print view. But basically, you can go and print this document. You can print this document in the native language for the parents, the students, and families. And this has been doing translation with PowerSchool Special Education.